Good morning, dear students, and welcome to our e-learning session. And a wonderful chapter and the topic what we are discussing is about the following the Mahatma part 2. So as this is the first lecture of the day, and I hope that you have already done your prayer, as there is one ultimate supreme power. Keep in mind, there is a one supreme God who can do anything. Yes, so always start your day with prayer. Start your day, start your work by the blessing from the Almighty. So before we start the new topic or the revision part, a wonderful thought what I got today is about, not to give up in the life. As a wonderful poem in Hindi, what you have already learned, कोशिश करने वालों की हार नहीं होती. So, if you can see on the board, a wonderful quote is written, run when you can. Run when you can. Walk if you have to. Crawl if you must. Just never give up. जब तक जिंदगी में दौड़ सकते हो, run. Run for your passion, run for your goal. Run for the beautiful life. Run for your dream. If you can't run, don't stop it. Don't give up. Walk. If you can't run, walk. So what it says, if you have to walk, if you can't run, walk. And even if you can't walk, crawl. But never give up. दौड़ नहीं सकते तो चलो, चल नहीं सकते तो क्रॉल करो, आहिस्ता आहिस्ता कोशिश करो, but just never give up. And see, definitely if you will face the life in your, if you want to fulfill your dream, not only your dreams but your parents' dreams also, you have to run. If you can't run, walk. If you can't, crawl, but never give up. See, in the life, in the journey of life, thousands of questions will be there. But the question, when we use the term question, it means when it is having the answer, then only we can use the term question. जब किसी चीज को हम प्रश्न कहते हैं, क्वेश्चन, इसका मतलब क्या है? जब उसका आंसर होता है तो ही हम उसको क्वेश्चन कहते हैं. सो नेवर गिव अप इन योर लाइफ. लाइफ इज वंडरफुल, लाइफ इज ब्यूटिफुल. So always have the positive attitude towards your life, about your situation. Never give up. Everything is possible. Okay? So keep in mind, never give up. So run when you can, walk if you have to, crawl if you must, but just never give up. So I am having the confidence on my students that they will never give up in the life. Okay. So as the wonderful topic what we are discussing about the following the Mahatma part 2. As in class 8, we are talking about the Britisher. Actually the term what we are using is the foreigner when they arrive to our country. Okay. As previously India was the only country who produced the spices, gold, diamond, and in all term, India was the only developed country. Okay, so number of foreigners since ancient time they came to our country for the business purpose. So in class 8, the first chapter of part 1, what we discussed, what we learned, that how the foreigner came to our India, like Portuguese, French, Dutch, and last the Britisher came to our country for the business purpose, merely business purpose. But what they saw in our country, they saw the wealth. Now they want to collect this wealth in any condition. So, by the policy of divide and rule, they started to rule on us. And if you remember from Battle of Plassey, that is the 1757. 1757 and we got independence in 1947. So it is a perfect 190 years of rule. The reign of the Britisher. They rule on us. The freedom struggle from 1757, the revolt which was failed, but what we consider as the first freedom struggle of India, 1857. Then we learn, we talk, we understand about the different leaders who fought for our country for the freedom. From Mangal Pandey, Tatya Tope, Jhansi ki Rani Lakshmibai, Raja Kunwar Singh, and number of revolutionary we talk. Bhagat Singh, Sukhdev, Rajguru, Ram Prasad Bismil, Sardar Patel, Jawaharlal Nehru. This all were the leaders. But thousands of people lost their life for our freedom struggle. Then Gandhiji came back to our country in 1915. So from 1915, the term or the time what we consider as the Gandhian age. Gandhiji was a Britisher and he was doing his practice in South Africa. But in 1915, Gandhiji came to our country, means in India, and he joined this freedom struggle. So from 1915, the time we consider as Gandhian age. So a number of Satyagrahas, Andolan, that what we have already discussed in part 1. Here, first an important topic what we have previously discussed was about the civil disobedience movement, and in that we talk about the very important point about the Dandi March or the Yatra. Dandi Yatra. Dandi is the place. I gave you the homework for the same to draw the route on the political map of Gujarat. So in Dandi Yatra you have to remember the dates, the companions or the follower who joined, who was there in this march, on which day they reached to Dandi, on which day they broke the salt law. This point we have to particularly keep in mind. So let's recall the important dates what we have already discussed. So the civil disobedience movement started with the breaking of the unjust salt law. The British government has monopolized the production and trade of the salt for the British government and the English merchants only. Salt was made a taxable commodity which Gandhiji and other nationalists felt was very unjust. Gandhiji announced in the year 1930 that he would carry out a march up to Dandi near Surat to break the salt law. Gandhiji started the Dandi March from Sabarmati Ashram. So, what point particularly you have to keep in mind? First point is Sabarmati Ashram. From Sabarmati Ashram, Ahmedabad, with his 78 companions, 78 followers, what you can say, followers, companion, on 12th March 1930. 12th March 1930. They reached Dandi on 5th of April. But Gandhiji broke the salt law on the 6th of April. This much point you must remember about the Dandi Yatra. So, Gandhiji started this march from Sabarmati Ashram, Ahmedabad with his 78 companions on 12th of March 1930. Meetings were held in every village that was on the route. Gandhiji explained to the people the characteristics of the civil disobedience movement, need to break the salt law, and the significance of Satyagraha in attaining the Swaraj. Gandhiji reached Dandi on 5th of April 1930, and on 6th April he broke the salt law. Now Gandhiji said, this sentence also you have to remember. Gandhiji, while picking up the fistful of salt in his hand, and he said, with this, I am shaking the foundation of the British Empire. Actively, farmers, tribal women actively participate in this movement. The government restored the policy of suppression. Thousands of Satyagrahis were arrested. So this point you have to keep in mind. With this Dandi, you have to keep in mind about the Dharasana. So Dharasana village was a big center for the salt production. So hence Gandhiji announced that he would do the Satyagraha over that too. So Gandhiji and Abbas Tayyabji were arrested so that the leadership of Dharasana Satyagraha were given to Sarojini Naidu. British government tried to suppress the Satyagraha with the utter cruelty. 300 Satyagrahis were wounded and 2 died. Still the Satyagrahis did not stop that back or step back. Then we talk about the round table conference. The important point is we have to remember the second round conference. Round table conference. So important event, round table conferences. So round table conferences, British government convened a round table conference in order to discuss the constitutional changes required for India. The first conference was unsuccessful as the Indian National Congress decided to boycott it. Second round table conference was held in 1931. Here you have to remember, year 1931, second round table conference. As Gandhiji was the only leader who attended this. Okay. So conference was held in 1931 in London. Gandhiji attended it as the only representative of Indian National Congress. In this conference, the demand for separate electorate, the Dalit for the different communities was made. Gandhiji was disappointed with the since it would segment the India. So leader of various community did not agree and hence the conference failed. So second round table conference was also failed. Then we talk about the Government of India Act. The Government of India Act of 1935. See, this was, the year was 1930, 1931, now we are on 1935. So, Government of India Act was the second phase in the constitutional changes in India, but it turned out to the inadequate and disappointing for the nationalist. According to Dr. Rajendra Prasad, the degree of autonomy introduced as the provisional level was quite limited. So, the British authority also retained a right to suspend the responsible government elected representative of India were given a very limited authority. So this was against their expectation. Now, as per this act, what was the act actually? As per the act, elections were held. Gandhiji suggested that the Indian National Congress would form the federal legislature only if the guarantee that the governor would not exercise the exclusive power granted to them and act as per the advice of the elected provisional and the ministries. Viceroys and the National Secretary agreed with the certain clarification of Congress, and Muslim League formed the federal legislature. The experiment of the provisional Swaraj continued for the 2 years, and when the World War II broke out in the year 1939, the British government declared India a part of without consulting the federal legislative. And as a sign of the protest, the committee resigned. So that was also the failure. Then we talk about the demand for Pakistan. The last point what we have discussed was the demand for Pakistan. That was the year of 1940. Here you have to remember two names, as I said, Muhammad Iqbal and Chaudhry Rahmat Ali were the Muslim leaders who propagate that the Hindus and Muslims should form a two separate nation as they represent the two different cultures. So the resolution of demand for Pakistan was passed in the Muslim League session held at the Lahore in the March 1940. It was suggested to form an independent nation having the majority of the Muslim population. After this, the creation of Pakistan became the main objective of Muslim League. Maulana Azad was born in Makkah. He knew many languages and was a scholar of Islam. He advocated the unity of all the religions. He was always very active in Gandhian movement. And I told you to collect the information about Maulana Azad, Abbas Tayyabji, Sarojini Naidu, Dr. Rajendra Prasad. Okay. Now let's talk on individual Satyagraha. Let's talk on individual Satyagraha. That is the year of 1940. Now we will going to talk about another important dignitary, that is Vinoba Bhave. Sorry. So, individual Satyagraha. So let's talk on individual Satyagraha. See, during the World War II, now we know World War was broke out on 1939 to 1945 for a 7 year. So during the World War II, Gandhiji started individual Satyagraha. Who started? Gandhiji started. So what point you will keep in mind? Gandhiji started what? Individual Satyagraha. So during the World War II, Gandhiji started individual Satyagraha instead of the mass Satyagraha. गांधीजी ने इंडिविजुअल सत्याग्रह शुरू किया इंस्टेड ऑफ मास सत्याग्रह. एक से ज्यादा लोगों के बदले एक एक व्यक्ति सत्याग्रह पे बैठ रहा था. So during the World War II, Gandhiji started individual satyagraha instead of the mass satyagraha for the two reasons. Now, what was the two reason actually why he started individual satyagraha? Number one, there were a chance of its turning into the violent movement. अगर मास सत्याग्रह होता तो गांधी जी को डर था कि लोग हिंसा का मार्ग अपना लेंगे, मास वायलेंस. And two, Gandhiji was not willing to put the British government into very embarrassing situation during the war. गांधीजी नहीं चाहते थे कि अंग्रेजों को कोई तकलीफ आए, as the Second World War was there. And first reason, Gandhiji was afraid of the violence. Mass satyagraha hota to there might be the chances of violence. So in this two reason, because of this two reason, first, as Gandhiji has a fear of the violence, and second, Gandhiji don't want to put the Britisher into the embarrassing movement as like situation during the World War II. So Gandhiji selected Vinoba Bhave. Now you have to collect the information about Vinoba Bhave. He was a satyagrahi, individual satyagrahi. Vinoba Bhave. Vinoba Bhave Maharashtrian the. You can collect the information about him. You must collect. So Gandhiji selected Vinoba Bhave as the first individual satyagrahi. So Vinoba Bhave was first individual satyagrahi. Vinoba Bhave was the first individual satyagrahi. Gandhiji select him. Vinoba Bhave started his satyagraha by delivering anti-war speeches. He was a good speaker indeed. On the fifth day, he was arrested by government as was put into the prison for 3 months. When Vinoba Bhave started the satyagraha, on the fifth day he was caught by Britisher and he was kept in the jail for 3 more months. Vinoba Bhave's basic inclination was towards the constructive program right from the beginning. Hence Gandhiji had a deep faith in him as satyagrahi with a high value. So Gandhiji believed on he trusts on the Vinoba Bhave. So he chose the Vinoba Bhave for individual satyagraha. Now things to know. Crips Mission. Crips Mission 1942. See, in history you must remember the years or the date, whatever it is given. If both are given, you have to remember. So, in history you must remember. So, Crips Mission, Sir Stafford Cripps was sent to India to specify the aggregate Indian leaders with the promise to grant the autonomy to the Federation of India. 1942 में स्टैफर्ड क्रिप्स नाम के एक अंग्रेज अफसर आए, भारत को आज़ादी की जो बात चल रही थी उसके लिए, गवर्नमेंट बनाने के लिए. So, however, in nowhere mentioned with it would be done. Moreover, it agreed over the separation of Pakistan too. अब क्रिप्स मिशन ने पाकिस्तान को अलग बनाने की मंजूरी दे दी. So the Indian National Congress opposed it and Winston Churchill withdrew his proposal. और चर्चिल जो थे ब्रिटिश के प्राइम मिनिस्टर थे, he withdrew this proposal also. Now let's talk a very interesting part, a Quit India movement. Quit India, Bharat Chodo Andolan. Quit India movement. So, Quit India movement, 1942. Quit India movement, Bharat Chodo Andolan. So Mahatma Gandhi started a new chapter of freedom movement after the World War II. He asked the Britisher to leave India immediately. Gandhiji asked the people of India to follow the principle of do or die. करो या मरो का नारा दिया था क्विट इंडिया मूवमेंट के तहत. So this you have to remember, do or die. Do or die. Do or die कब कहा था, कौन सी आंदोलन में? गांधी जी said on Quit India movement. So Mahatma Gandhi started a new chapter of freedom movement after the World War II. He asked the Britisher to leave India immediately. Gandhiji asked the people of India to follow the principle of do or die, that is a karo ya maro, and continue the struggle against the Britisher in the non-violent manner. Historical resolution of Quit India was passed in the Mumbai session. Must remember Mumbai session. Mumbai session, 8th August 1942. See, in Quit India movement, this point you have to keep in mind. Gandhiji started this movement in the year of 1942 in Mumbai session, 8th of August 1942, the resolution was passed and Gandhiji said do or die. So Mahatma Gandhi started a new chapter of freedom movement after the World War II. He asked the Britisher to leave India immediately. Gandhiji asked the people of India to follow the principle of do or die and continue the struggle against the Britisher in the non-violent manner. Historical resolution of Quit India was passed in the Mumbai session in Indian National Congress on 8th August 1942. Gandhiji and other leaders were arrested on 9th August. As on 8th of August in Mumbai session, this resolution was passed. And on 9th of August, Gandhiji and other leader was present. So leader was arrested on 9th of August. It gives a fresh impetus to the movement. The various public meetings, processions, protests and demonstration become order of the day across the nation. जैसे ही गांधी जी और दूसरे लीडरों की गिरफ्तारी हुई, लोगों ने उनका विरोध किया. A large number of farmers and youth joined the movement. There were incidents of attack on government building and on communication facilities like the post and telegraph. Government adopts suppressive measures like the mass arrest, confiscation of properties and imprisonment curb the movement. More than 1 lakh people were arrested and put into jail. अब लोगों ने शांति से और तोड़फोड़ दोनों तरीके से विरोध किया और अंग्रेजों ने इसको दबाने के लिए, बंद करवाने के लिए more than 1 lakh people were arrested. More than 1 lakh people were arrested. Thousands of people were shot. Thousands of people were shot. But the British realized that it was the end of their rule in India and their hold over the people of India would not be for long. But Quit India movement ने अंग्रेजों को समझा दिया, now we can't stay more in this nation. So thousands of people were shot also. But the British realized that it was the end of their rule in India and their hold over the people of India would not be long. Now the cabinet mission. This is also very important. Quit India movement, you have to remember the date, 8th of August 1942, Mumbai session, and does this sentence do or die? Okay. Now let's talk on the cabinet mission. The cabinet mission 1946. The British cabinet mission 1946 on India aimed to discuss and plan for the transfer of power from the British government to Indian leadership, conferring India with its independence. अब तय हो गया भारत को आजादी देनी है. Now it was the time to transfer the power from British government to Indian leadership. So the British cabinet mission in 1946 of India aimed to discuss why it was set up. To aim to discuss and plan for the transfer of power from the British government to Indian leadership, conferring India with its independence, formulated and the initiated of Clement Attlee. Attlee जो था उसने ये बनाया था. The Prime Minister of the United Kingdom at that time, Attlee was the Prime Minister of United Kingdom. It was represented by the 3 British ministers. The proposal were, अब cabinet mission क्या proposal लेके आए? 3 proposal was there. To establish total self-rule in the country. Number 2, to divide the whole country into total 3 provinces. Third, allow the India to design its own constitution. 4, the formation of interim of the provisional government till the constitution was framed. ये 4 दरखास्त कैबिनेट मिशन ने दी थी. So the Congress secured majority in the following election and formed the interim government under the leadership of Jawaharlal Nehru. अब जब इलेक्शन हुआ तो obviously इंडियन लीडर ही सब जगह जीते, इंडियन लीडर्स. So the Congress secured the majority, and at that time the Indian National Congress was the only Indian party. So the Congress secured the majority in the following election and formed the interim government under the leadership of Jawaharlal Nehru. Poor response irritated the Muslim League, and they declared the 16th August 1946 as a direct action day. This you have to remember. 16th August 1946, and it was declared as a direct action day. Direct action day declared by Muslim League. As a result, communal tension prevailed in the country and many parts witnessed the communal riots too. अब डायरेक्ट एक्शन डे मुस्लिम लीग ने घोषित किया ऑन 16th अगस्त. इसके चलते पूरे भारत में हिंदू मुस्लिम के दंगे हुए. So many parts witnessed the communal riots too. However, the Muslim League maintained its position in the government through varied the protest till the formation of पाकिस्तान. जब तक पाकिस्तान अलग देश नहीं बना तब तक कॉन्फ्लिक्ट्स चले, but they hold their position. Now, Attlee's announcement of the independence of India, February 1947. Now the day come, year came when we got a independence. So the communal integrity was jeopardized by the attitude of the Muslim League with the interim government. The British Prime Minister on 20th February 1947. This is the important date. 20th Feb 1947. On 20th February 1947, the British Prime Minister announced in the British Parliament that latest by June 1948, What they said, 1948 के जून तक, latest by June 1948 the powers would be completely transferred to the Indians. कब कहा? On 20th February 1947, as it is a long process. So on 20th February 1947 announced in the British Parliament that the latest by June 1948 the power would be completely transferred to the Indians. Enthusiasm and the happiness of the Indian leader and the common people know to the bounds, no bounds. Gandhiji welcomed this decision on the British by the saying that it was their best decision. और इस बयान को कि भारत को हम आज़ाद कर देंगे, Gandhiji says that it is the best decision by the government. And ultimately on 15th of August, we got a independence. So dear student, now as you know, we started our journey from 1700 when the different foreigners came to our country as the traders. Then they settled to our country. They started to rule on us from 1757 to 1947. 190 साल long stretch. We fought for our freedom, and the India where now we are living, we got this gift from our ancestors. So this is the lesson, a wonderful lesson. Let's write today's homework first. A wonderful thing what we have discussed today. So let's write the homework. Okay. Short note. Quit India movement. Second, what were the proposals? What were the proposals of the cabinet mission? See, this is the two question you have to write. As I said, collect the information about Vinoba Bhave. Yes, you must collect the information. So this is also important. Collect the information about Vinoba Bhave. Collect the information. You will enjoy this work. So collect the information about the Vinoba Bhave. Do in your special book. This is your homework. Write a short note on Quit India movement and what were the proposals of the cabinet mission. So here I am ending this lecture and chapter as well. In next lecture we will start a wonderful chapter, that is the United Nation, on which you have prepared the chart. If you remember, I have assigned you this work. So we'll talk on that. Till that, take care of yourself. Thank you. Jai Hind.